So imagine this. You fall asleep tonight, just a really, really deep sleep.
Yeah.
And instead of waking up tomorrow morning, you wake up 20 years from now.
A long nap.
A very long nap. But let's make it more extreme. Imagine you're from a time of like candlelight and muskets, and you wake up, well, today.
That is, of course, the classic setup for Washington Irving's Rip Van Winkle, the guy who has a drink in the Catskills and sleeps right through the American Revolution.
Exactly. It's the ultimate fish out of water story. But today, we're not just doing a literary look back. We're looking at this fascinating experiment that I came across.
Okay.
This deep dive is based on a piece called Rip Van Winkle Wakes Up and Meets AI. And it comes from Kintsugi, which is a segment of Project Plain Talk.
And the idea here is just, it's brilliant. The author, Ivan Serra, he basically ran what you could call a literary Turing test. He gave a prompt to a whole bunch of AI agents.
A whole stack of them.
A whole stack. Sarvam, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot, DeepSeek, Grok, and Mistral. And the prompt was, if Rip Van Winkle woke up today and saw smartphones and robots and AI, how would he describe it in a poem?
So our mission today is to break these poems down. And honestly, when I first saw this, I was skeptical. I thought, okay, 9 robots writing bad poetry about a confused old guy. Great.
Who figured they'd all sound the same.
I totally did. I was expecting just generic, ooh, look at the shiny screen kind of verses. But that's really not what happened, is it?
Not at all. And that's why we're doing this, because when you put these poems side by side, you start to see these distinct personalities emerge from the AIs themselves. Some are optimists, some are cynics.
And some are like deeply depressed philosophers.
Exactly.
So we're going to get into those personalities, see how they captured the voice of this 19th century guy meeting our world. And then, this is the fun part, we're going to rank them. We're going to decide which AI actually understood the human condition the best.
That's a pretty high bar for an algorithm.
It is. So let's unpack this. We can basically group these into, 3 emotional stages. The first group is what I'm calling the wide-eyed optimists.
The wonder and magic approach.
Yeah, exactly. These are the AIs that think if a man from 1819 saw a smartphone, he wouldn't scream witchcraft. He'd just be like, wow, this is neat.
Sarvam is the perfect starting point for that.
Oh, yeah. Sarvam's poem is titled Ode of Rip Van Winkle to the Age of Steel.
It sounds so grand, doesn't it? Very Industrial Revolution.
It sounds a little bit like propaganda, if I'm honest. But look at the imagery. Sarvam's Rip calls a smartphone a tiny glass, a window vast, and cars are steeds of steel without a horse.
Steeds of steel. I mean, it's trying to use language Rip would get, right? Very knightly, very noble.
But is it believable? Sarvam ends the poem with Rip saying, I find no foe but wonder's song.
It is definitely the Silicon Valley view of things. The idea that new tech is so inherently wonderful that even a completely displaced, traumatized old man would immediately see the spirit of man in it. It glosses over the whole losing 20 years of your life thing.
Right. If I woke up and my wife was dead and everyone was staring at glowing rectangles, I don't think I'd be singing Wonder Song. I'd be looking...
Mistral took a similar path, but with a bit more of a theatrical style. It wrote a ballad, Rip's Awakening, a ballad of wonders strange.
What I liked about Mistral's was the dialogue. Rip actually talks to a voice assistant. He calls it a shade, like a ghost, and asks, what sorcery doth bestow?
And this is where you see the AI's personality coming through. The assistant answers him. It says, nay, old man, this isn't sorcery. It is art and thought.
See, that feels like the AI trying to sell itself to Rip. Like, don't be scared. We're just art.
It is a little defensive, isn't it? Mistral wants to frame AI as just a continuation of human creativity. It wants Rip to be curious, not terrified. The poem ends with him asking, what next shall rise? It's a very gentle approach.
So you've got the romantic Rip and the curious Rip. Then there's Copilot. For me, Copilot felt like the bridge between that everything is amazing crowd and the reality check that's coming.
Copilot's rhythm was definitely tighter. The plow replaced by drones that fly. The loom now woven by AI.
I like that. It acknowledges that things were actually replaced. The plow is gone. The loom is gone.
Exactly. It's not just adding new magic. It's subtracting the old world. And Copilot gives us the first real hint of skepticism. Rip is amazed, sure, but he also asks what price we pay for minds of steel that rule the day.
Minds of steel that rule the day.
But it's a good line. It hints that maybe this isn't all sunshine. But, these first 3, they still feel a little bit like they're writing a press release for the future.
They're missing the grit. They are missing the grit. Which brings us to our second group, the realists, or as I call them, this is actually just annoying group.
And you were definitely talking about perplexity here.
I am 100% talking about perplexity. This poem, Rip's Reckoning, was the first one that made me actually laugh out loud. It just drops all the poetic stuff and gets straight to the user experience.
It is so direct. Alexa, light the fire.
Yes. Rib is just shouting at an Alexa, and he sees that drones hunt the deer instead of his old musket.
What I think is so smart about Perplexity's version is that it focuses on obsolescence. Rip says, "My musket's rust." He realizes he's useless in this new world, and that's where the anxiety kicks in. Machines outthink us.
But the ending is the moment for me with Perplexity. This is where I felt like, okay, this AI actually gets modern life.
Walk us through it.
So Rip is totally overwhelmed. He's obsolete. He decides, you know what? I'm going back to sleep. But he can't.
But hark! My phone buzzes. Rip, the fun never ends.
That is just so perfect. The buzzing phone, that notification fatigue. It's not some grand philosophy. It's the daily annoyance of the modern world intruding on your peace. The man can't even go back into a coma in peace.
It grounds the whole thing. It's maybe less poetic, but it feels very, very 2026. And Grok does something kind of similar with the specifics.
Grok calls Siri and Alexa demons, mild and meek, which is, I mean, a fantastic line.
It really is a mild demon. It's helpful, but it has a hold on you.
But Grok's angle is much more cynical, more economic, right?
Yeah. It fits the Grok persona. It says AI heals the sick, but it also steals the jobs.
Steals the jobs from men in waking dream.
Oh!
That's pretty dark for a poem about a fairy tale character.
Grok is looking at the whole societal shift. It calls progress a fairy's cruel jest. And just like Perplexity, Grok's Rip decides the only sane option is to nap again.
So we've got the optimists who think Rip would be amazed, and the realists who think he'd be annoyed and probably out of a job. But then we get to the third group.
The philosophers.
The philosophers. Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and Claude. These are the ones that they really tried to get inside Rip's head. They stopped just looking at the gadgets and started looking at the loss.
Let's start with Gemini, because out of all of them, Gemini's felt the most like a short story in verse.
It sets the scene so beautifully. It's not just I woke up, it's the little details. His dog is gone, the flagon's dry, the old tavern sign is down.
And the sense of isolation. He walks into town expecting his friends, but everyone is just staring down at black polished glass.
There's a line in Gemini that gave me an actual chill. A ghost light in their eyes.
Describing the screen reflection on people's faces, that is such haunting imagery. It suggests that people are the ones who are haunted now.
And Gemini has Rip talk to a kid, a lad, in town. He asks where the scribes are, and the kid just laughs and says, "It's AI, Pops."
It's AI, Pops. That contrast between Rip's old language and the modern slang, it makes that generational gap feel so real and so sudden.
It really does. And Gemini's conclusion is just plain sad. Rip asks, if machines can dream the poet's dream, does time itself stand still? He calls this whole smart age a bad dream. It perfectly captures that loneliness of an older person in a digital world.
ChatGPT took a slightly different philosophical path. He used these really clever rhyming couplets like, "When letters walked and wheels were hay."
I like the dialogue in ChatGPT's. Rip asks the machine, "Oh, Clockwork Oracle, what are you?" And the machine's reply is, "A mirror built of you."
A mirror built of you. That's surprisingly profound for ChatGPT, which can sometimes play it a little safe.
What does that mean to you, though?
I think it's suggesting that AI isn't some alien thing. It's a reflection of us, of our collective knowledge, our history, our biases, woven from the quick and dead. But even after hearing that, Rick rejects it. He just wants tea and a handmade story.
He wants the real world back. He wants some friction, which is the perfect lead-in to DeepSeek, because DeepSeek's poem is all about that friction, the natural world versus the digital one.
DeepSeek's imagery is so earthy, roots of moss and stone, and it puts that right up against the muttered digital cloak of technology.
This one felt the most critical of what we've actually lost. DeepSeek gets right into the head versus heart debate.
It does. Rip asks if all this brilliant art fills up the head but not the heart. But there's one specific image in DeepSeek that I think is the single cleverest literary nod in this whole experiment.
You're talking about the fairy hammers.
I am. The line is, where clicks, like fairy hammers, tap to shape some virtual thunderclap.
Okay, unpack that for us. Why is that so smart?
Well, in the original Washington Irving story, the sound of thunder in the mountains was explained as the ghosts of Henry Hudson's crew playing ninepins.
You know,
Yep.
the thunder was the sound of the balls hitting the pin.
Bowling ghosts. I'd forgotten about that.
So DeepSeek takes that piece of folklore and just updates it for 2026.
Mm.
Now, the thunder isn't ghosts bowling. It's the clicking of server farms. It's data processing. It's virtual thunder. It perfectly bridges the 1819 legend with our reality. Wow. Okay, that is brilliant. I totally missed that on my first read.
And DeepSeek's Rip doesn't just go back to sleep. He goes looking for a real clear brook to ask if the world is the one that's asleep now. He's questioning the reality of our digital lives. Ghosts made up by men.
Which brings us to Claude. And I have to say, reading all of these, Claude's just felt heavy. The title is, in all caps, Rip Van Winkle Wakes to the Age of Machines.
Claude went straight for the existential jugular.
The central idea here isn't just about screens or drones, it's about memory itself.
Exactly. Claude's Rip watches people ask their tablets everything. What happened on this date? Who won that war? And he asks, what need has mankind now for memory when machines remember how?
That is a terrifying question. If we outsource our memory, our own internal hard drive, what's even left of us?
Claude suggests that in doing that, we've given up our own consciousness. Rip says, I am more awake than these, or so appears.
I am more awake than these.
Just think about that for a second. The man who is asleep for 20 years looks at us, scrolling social media, Googling facts, letting GPS guide us, and he thinks we're the zombies.
And the end of Claude's poem. It just drives that point home so hard.
You've built a heaven, or perhaps rehearsed, a play where man becomes the dreaming ghost, while machines remember what we needed most.
Man becomes the dreaming ghost.
It completely flittered the story. Rip isn't the ghost from the past wandering our world. We are the ghosts haunting our own present while the machines are wide awake.
Okay, that is intense.
That's
So
wrong.
we've gone through the optimists, the realists, and the philosophers. Now for the hard part. The mission was to rank them.
We have to pick a top 3.
And we're doing this based on our listener profile, the learner. So which poem gives you the most insight, the best character voice, and the biggest aha moment?
It's tough. They all have their strengths. But if we're looking for the ones that really make you stop and think.
I think we have to give the bronze medal, rank number 3, to Perplexity.
Really? You're picking the one with Alexa over all the deep, poetic ones.
I am, and here's why. It's not the most beautiful poem, I'll grant you. But Rip's Reckoning captures the modern experience better than almost any of them. That buzzing phone, the fact that technology is often just annoying, not magical.
That's a fair point. If Rip really woke up in 2026, he wouldn't be reciting sonnets. He'd be trying to figure out how to turn off an alarm he doesn't understand. It's the most grounded in a frustrating reality.
Okay, I'll give you that. Perplexity takes 3rd for relatability.
Exactly. Now, for the silver medal, rank number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning heavily toward DeepSeek.
I'm right there with you.
It's the fairy hammers.
It's absolutely the fairy hammers, but it's also that head versus heart idea. DeepSeek captured the feeling of being a person of the earth waking up in this cold, abstract, intellectual world. That line about forests dense of cold, abstracted intelligence is just incredible writing.
It felt the most literary, like something Washington Irving might have actually tried to write if he had a time machine. So DeepSeek gets 2nd, which leaves our gold medalist, number 1.
It'd have to be Claude.
It has to be, no question.
But why? I mean, it's so bleak. Why does the most depressing one win?
Because it's the only one that truly grapples with the question, so what does this mean for humanity? The other poems talk about what the technology does. It flies, it talks, it glows. Claude talks about what the technology takes away.
Our memory, our agency.
The idea that by creating machines that know everything, we have let ourselves become dreaming ghosts. It uses the character of Rip Van Winkle not just as a prop, but as a perfect mirror to show us our own condition.
That line, I am more awake than these, that for me is the aha moment of this whole thing. It forces you to look up from your own screen and ask yourself, wait, am I awake right now?
Precisely. It goes beyond the prompt. It's not just a poem about Rip Van Winkle. It's a profound critique of the age we're actually living in.
So Claude gets the gold for making us feel the most existential dread on a Tuesday morning.
A well-earned victory.
Wow. Well, this has been a journey. We started with a sleepy guy from 1819, and we ended up questioning the very nature of consciousness in the digital age.
Just another day here at the Deep Dive.
We saw Rip react with wonder in Sarvam, with annoyance and perplexity, loneliness in Gemini, and this deep philosophical fear in Claude. And Honestly, the range of these responses is incredible.
It really highlights how versatile these models are becoming. They all got the exact same prompt, Rip wakes up Feb 10th, 2026, and they went in such wildly different directions. It shows you that AI isn't a monolith. These models have distinct personalities emerging from their training.
It's fascinating stuff. But before we go, I want to leave our listener with one last thing to chew on, building on Claude's idea that we're the dreaming ghosts.
Okay, so here's the final thought I have for you. Rip Van Winkle was the sleeper. He thought he was asleep for 20 years. He missed a revolution, missed his own life.
But in our world,
In our world, where we're constantly plugged into the cloud, offloading our memories to servers, living half our lives in virtual spaces, are we actually the ones who are asleep? If Rip Van Winkle looked at you right now staring at your screen, would he think you were awake?
and if we are asleep,
Yeah.
when do we wake up?
That's the question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 21st century through the eyes of the 19th. We'll see you the next deep dive.